Join Samantha and Hans at the next Macro to Micro Options Power Hour, held each Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Registration is free. Scan this QR code or click on the link in the description.
Well, I think Trump has shown his hand. He's doing the flinch, right? We've seen 4 or 5 flinches now over the last few weeks. So that's really taken a lot of the sort of existential risk out of the market. So as Brent said, I kind of agree. Maybe we've sort of seen the high. We may have not seen the low necessarily. We could definitely tag that 4,800, 4,900 level again. I think that's what's going to make this market kind of fun, is that we're going to have some movement in here. So I think we can probably sell off. I thought we might touch 5,000 recently, but of course we bounced here a little bit. And I think it remains a trader's market. I think, like I bought leaps a week and a half ago and I'm selling them out, which sort of makes me feel silly. I'm selling out things that I was like, I'm going to hold on to these for a while, but you're being given these really nice returns very quickly. And I think you accept it for what it is, right? You take those 50, 60, 70% quick returns in a market like this. I think this is not a paint dry kind of market. So your torque is vega, it's movement, it's delta, it's gamma, it's not theta, right? Theta's not really coming into playing into this. So you're playing the movement. And I think we just continue to do that. I think we may see just a little bit of a bid in here. We've seen such incredible bearishness, the AAII, we've seen levels of bearishness that we haven't seen in a very long time. That ATR, those S&P daily ranges that were as big as we've seen since the global financial crisis. So I think we've seen some things that were extreme levels of fear. And I think there's still a little bit of room for that to kind of seep out just a little bit, given the number of flinches that we've seen.
I would just add that the range of what is scary now is the end of the financial system in some ways. And so I think, like, to the point of regime change, it's like if you look at what the possibilities are now, we are like, well, the possibility is like the abyss, or it's like the best thing that's ever happened. So like the range of outcomes now has definitely really widened out.
Place your bets.
Yeah, you can write a scenario for really anything. On the topic of correlation, to the point of if then, right? There was a couple of tech earnings, like VRT was one where it was up 20% this morning. You're going to get a lot of earnings this week. You got Google and Poly just reported and Boeing reported and all these companies. And, from my naive take, it didn't seem like, hey, the tariffs have totally and completely screwed us over here and we're like done. And so one of the outcomes that you have to like respect is like, okay, we're all freaking out about the tariffs, but if individual companies, maybe the mom and pops are getting hit, but like Amazon, Walmart and whatever are kind of like, yeah, it's a headache, but maybe no big deal yet, then, I think that's another outcome here, that maybe this isn't all, as damaging as what we expect it to be.
Okay, so now you're talking earnings, so I got to show you a chart.
Yeah, please do.
We've got that window opening up too for the S&P 500. I wonder if we're going to start seeing some pretty good buybacks as well. So another little wrinkle there probably in the next few days that opens up.
Yeah, this is true. So let me just show you this real quick. Now, Brent, we have this little game that we play when we do these webinars, which is Hans will talk about something and I'll go find a chart to contradict or at least argue about. So one of the things that you just mentioned was we'll find out about earnings. And this is true. At the beginning of the year, nobody was talking about a recession. There was 0% chance of it priced in. And here, then we fell down to 4,900. So the multiples got ratcheted lower, I think 19, and the earnings was like 270 and it's now 255 or something. The point is they took 5 percentage points off and fair value sits about 4,900. That's a fancy way of just saying we're not done. So Q4 2024, EPS growth was about 17%, revenue growth about 5%. And then we came into Q1, this is 2025, right? We're looking at EPS growth now closer to 10%. So they're even ratcheting down every single week, by the way. Earnings bar keeps getting lowered. Revenue growth about 4%. Anyway, this is just, by the way, again, data trek, and it's not where I get my CTA, but my point is they're really good on earnings analysis, which is why I have highlighted them. Here's the issue, right? This is actually not data trek. Forgive me. No, this is Brian Gilmartin, different source. I haven't put this on. I'm putting it together as we're talking live. Anyway, the point is Q2 S&P estimates have already started getting cut, and that reduction will likely continue for another 11 to 12 weeks. So Q2 EPS growth is expected only at 8% today. It's been reduced and it's probably going to settle out about 4 to 5%. Now, you can see how this is going. So the big question is, how far will these Q2 EPS estimates get revised lower over the next 3 to 4 weeks? That's what's going to be critical. And we already know that earnings have have been ratcheted lower so the companies can beat. And the ones that are doing the sweet spot are getting rewarded. They're not a big tariff hit, et cetera, et cetera. You can see Netflix and Spotify. They seem to be tariff proof. I have my doubts about that. But the point is, the bigger issue is we really are going to be focused on earnings. And I think they're still going to be falling. I don't think they're safe at all. I don't think the bottom is in yet for this year by any stretch. Nor do I think volatility is done going up. Nor do I think credit markets are going to be frozen for long. But I also think we have structural issues plumbing from the treasury market on a confidence crisis, a sovereign bond risk to the yen. There's way too much. Why would anybody come in and buy this stuff?
Right.
Except to safely play these magnificent, explosive, headline tweets. And I keep saying that every day. Okay, we're not really moving out of this range where we fell 653 SPX points in a week. And then the next week, we made a huge bounce of about 650 SPX points. Okay, but the point is, sure, have some lotto calls or have some leaps because we're going to have these headlines. They do not want to blow up the market, but they're not doing anything to repair the market.
Join Samantha and Hans at the next Macro to Micro Options Power Hour, held each Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Registration is free. Scan this QR code or click on the link in the description. Watch the full Options Macro to Micro Power Hour episode by clicking on the video here and subscribe to LaDucTrading YouTube channel for more content.